Hello, Cayden. How are you today?
Jared, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Uh, Today we're back because we watched Short Circuit 2.
We did.
And as I remember telling you, I grew up watching both of these films.
Yes,
And my favorite has always been Short Circuit 2. I thought it expanded the plot very well and wrapped it up very well.
absolutely.
What were your thoughts? Was there something. What's your favorite, first of all?
You know, when you had mentioned that the number two was your favorite, uh, your preferred movie over the both films, I was like, man, it must be really good because number one was so well done. But now I find myself agreeing with you that number two is probably my favorite of the films. Um, I think they're pretty much equal. I just like the development of the characters a little bit more in number two, and some of the funnier quips. Very funny movie, very goofy movie. I think it ties into the first one very well. Not a lot of plot holes or any really that I could think of, and they developed Johnny Five and all the other side characters nicely, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what was your favorite aspect of the film?
Man, I would have to say the jokes. Although the action sequences are a close second.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what maybe
Interesting.
both movies are uh, known for, at least the humor of it, the comedy,
Yeah.
the comedic aspect of it. Um, I found myself chuckling constantly throughout the whole movie. It's very funny, um, and I like the whole aspect of him in being in New York and kind of causing trouble in New York, so to speak, and uh, causing some havoc and getting in a little trouble and trying to help his friends out.
Yeah. What do you think the second one was funnier than the first one?
I think they're equally funny. Um, I think the reason why I prefer the second one is because of the development of Johnny Five as a character. I
Yeah.
enjoy more. I like him better in number two than I did in number one, which doesn't mean I didn't like him in number one. I just liked him a little bit more in Short Circuit two. He's more developed as a living being, a little bit smarter, a little bit more funnier. Um, Kind of the same goal. He's looking for input. He's looking for human interaction. Um, but he's not as naive as he was in the first one, even though
Right.
still very naive.
In the first one, I think we got baby Johnny Five, and
Yeah,
in the second one, we get like 8-year-old
yeah,
Johnny Five. You
or
know?
maybe even a teenager.
Yeah.
Still very
Yeah.
gullible, but a lot more wise, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
A lot more knowledgeable. What's your favorite aspect?
You know, I think I like the struggle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at the scene where he gets beat up by the thieves,
Yeah,
him literally fighting for his life,
yeah,
that was always my favorite. And always my saddest part of it, but also the best part of it
yes, I
because he
agree.
overcomes it.
Um, to my point earlier, it developed the character so much that you actually feel sad for Johnny Five. That you think he's gonna die. I mean, you think he dies in the first one, but the second one is a more drawn out. I mean, it's kind of set up through the whole film with these guys trying to. You don't really know why they want them out of the building until the end where he has Johnny Five break into the safe. But these guys are willing to do whatever it takes to get those diamonds, and they just beat Johnny Five to a pulp.
Yeah.
And you really think he's gonna die. And then another thing that ties in is Frederick. He's kind of like a pseudo bad guy as well, but they redeem him at the end by helping Johnny Five save his life and whatnot. And so he goes from trying to sell Johnny Five to saving his life, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a really, I think that's might be the most well done sequence of the whole movie. The climax there where he
It
fights for
is.
his life and then he comes back looking like Rambo and he chases him through the
Yeah.
streets and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I always forget about the Rambo part when he's adding the muscles and all that. But
and
yeah,
it's
it
kind of
is.
something that you mentioned last time is the writing style. Everything is foreshadowing. There's little foreshadows here and
Yes.
there. So when he shows up and he's got all this extra gear, it's like he kind of already set the stage for that. He's able to modify himself.
Right.
So in the end, when he needs it the most, he's able to add and modify himself even further it's a combat mode, I guess you could call it,
Yeah.
and to catch the bank robbers, even when he's dying, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought it was pretty funny that they used a defibrillator to jumpstart him at the end.
Yeah.
I think that was
It's funny and
super hilarious.
at the same time.
Yeah. And I think it keeps in par with the whole film. It was done quite well.
Yeah, it is. I remember that, you said that end sequence was the best sequence. I remember when I was a kid, when I would watch it, I watched the ending sequence more than I did the rest of the movie.
Really?
I must have seen that end sequence a billion times and saw the movie 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's the most rewatchable part of the whole film, probably. Yeah. But no, I think it's a good sequel. I think we kind of missed out on having the two main characters from the first movie. But as I think about it, I don't really know how else they could have done it to tie them in. Maybe bring them in at the end to help save Johnny Five's life. Or maybe, but then you get rid of Frederick's, his whole story arc.
Yeah, because you focus, they did good. They focused on Frederick, who's a new character.
Yeah.
And their Benjamin,
yeah.
the original character from the first one, Ben. Right.
I really liked what they did with Ben as well. It almost feels like he's the other main character in the show, in the movie.
And he comes into his own too, just like Johnny Five.
He goes from being a small side character who is making inappropriate quips to being a main character, where he gets his whole development. He falls in love, and he develops as a man. And my second favorite scene or sequence is probably the dating sequence, where Johnny Five hacks the billboard and he tells the guy with the balloons to kick rocks, and he's telling Benjamin what to say, and he ends up typing stuff in Spanish, and I thought that was hilarious. Where Benjamin takes out his partner that wants to buy the toys, the young lady, and they have the date scene or whatever.
Oh, was that your favorite scene?
Second favorite scene to the end.
Okay.
Hilarious, very much so.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I always not forget that scene, but I kind of overlook it.
Yeah.
And I overlook the importance of it. But when you look at that scene, it's important to all three of those characters.
Yes, it is.
It's a pivotal moment for all three of them.
Yes, it is.
And it's a really neat and funny moment all at the same time.
Yeah, because if you don't have that sequence, then she can't save Ben and Frederick from the freezer because they don't end up going on their date. And so it's a good...
It's almost like they all come together as a family.
Yeah.
And by the end, they are a family.
Yeah. Like you said, another foreshadowing of things to come.
Yeah.
The directors do a good job, and the producer and the writers did a good job of wrapping things up neatly. I don't think it needs a third film.
Oh, God, no. I used to wish they'd make one, but I'm really glad they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know how else they could expand on the same story. Short Circuit 1 and 2 kind of feel like one long movie. And they continue the same tropes, but they talk on the same things, you know what I mean? And I think...
And they appropriately expanded on
Yes,
that.
but not so much so that it takes itself too seriously.
Right.
But also not enough where you feel like you want more. I think it's wrapped up nicely in two films.
I think those two films were made at just the right time.
Absolutely.
If they had waited another 10 years to do the second one, I think it would have bombed.
Yeah, it probably would have flopped hard.
They would have screwed it up. And then the first one, but it was, I like the first one better. But no, these two movies came out at just the right time when they did. And they struck just the right chord.
Yeah.
And they often get overlooked against, more popular.
Sure, they become a cult classic, as you like to say. But I think foundational for kid sci-fi movies. You know what I mean? Sci-fi didn't always. I think it set a good precedence that sci-fi didn't always have to be horror or super serious
really
like Star Wars. Because up until that point, how many goofy sci-fi films or anything media were out there? You had Star Wars, and you got the original Star Trek, and you got Aliens and Predator, and there's a ton of stuff, but very serious films with serious themes and
lingering on horror and action.
Yes,
films
and thriller,
and
not fun, goofy, children's movies. You know what I mean? Even Star Wars, as light as it is still very serious in its theme and its thematic visions that it tries to get through, George Lucas and whatnot. So you have goofy characters like C-3PO and R2-D2, which kind of remind me of Johnny Five, but the overall theme is very serious. So with Short Circuit, even though, in the first movie you have the military trying to take him out, and then, he gets beat to death almost in the second one. They do a good job of surrounding it with a bunch of lighthearted jokes and
Right.
stuff appropriate for kids that, it doesn't feel overly serious,
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very, it's shot, you can tell it's made for kids, but it doesn't change the fact that it's good. Absolutely.
Again, great point.
Yeah.
Well, gosh. Before we wrap up, is there anything
Um,
else?
I enjoyed both films very much. I think they were really well in the same vein as, the AI things that we've been discussing, just on a lighter tone, as we've mentioned multiple times. As we mentioned in the last video, it's not something that you're supposed to take serious. It's a fun-loving, goofy movie.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it for what it is and have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, if you try to overanalyze it, you're gonna miss the point, and you're gonna miss the fun, and
Yeah.
you're gonna ruin it for yourself, basically. So, let us know in the comments if you guys have seen Short Circuit 1 and 2. Let us know if you enjoyed it, and also let us know if you disagree or agree with anything we had to say. Not super analytical today, just kind of a review almost of the movies, and our feelings towards them. We wanted to keep it that way because the film itself wasn't as serious. So having a serious discussion about its themes and whatnot would be inappropriate, in my opinion. It's not apropos. But we very much love them. If you got kids, watch it with them. They'll have a blast, even as an adult. I think you'll enjoy it. Reach out to us. Let us know if there's any movie suggestions in the future you want us to look at, or shows or whatnot. We'd love to hear from you guys. And we appreciate you for watching these videos.
Well, Cayden, thank you for being here again today, and hope to see you next time on our next film.
Absolutely.
And guys, leave us a like and subscribe, and see you next time, and take care.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.